Stiff Truth.
What do you say? You want to do a show?
Let's do a show.
Okay. Welcome to the Stiff Truth. I am Scott Casanova, and with me, my good buddy, my co-host, my friend, my hetero love mate, Mr. Bob West. Bob, it is a beautiful Sunday. It's time again for the Stiff Truth to discuss all things going on in the United States and beyond. But I'll tell you what, I'm really excited about today's cocktail. And I know I say that a lot. Some people would say maybe I'm full of shit when I start talking about the cocktail, and there's some truth to that, I'm sure, as well. But this might be a new favorite here for Mr. Scotty Casanova. I don't know about you, buddy, but the Ward 8 is quite delicious. What do you think, bud?
Yeah, it's a good drink. It's very Manhattan-y. You know, it's basically it's a rye whiskey martini for all intents and purposes there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what's cool about this drink is beyond the taste, and we'll talk about my newfound passionate love for rye whiskey amongst other types of bourbons and whiskeys out there these days. But yeah, it's got like margarita kind of flair. It's got like, you know, martini kind of stuff. It's got like whiskey sour kind of feels too. There's a lot of different, you can see a lot of different variations of awesome cocktails in this bad boy. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I like it so much too. But this is definitely, and I've had now 3 of them. And I think we spoke about this the other day. I was so anxious to try one out Friday night. I was like, hey, let me see if I could like makeshift one at the bar here this evening. And I used expired orange juice, expired grenadine, and the wrong type of whiskey. Wasn't that good, Bob? I'm not going to lie to you.
It didn't look good when you were showing me it. Like you weren't exactly selling it.
It was kind of fucking horrible, to be honest. Funny how like fresh and just the right ingredients really set off a drink. But goddamn, yesterday after getting proper ingredients and fresh ingredients, I do believe, like I just mentioned, this is gonna be I'm not gonna go crazy yet until I get more experience with it. But for me, it's gonna be a top 5 cocktail. I know that's pulling pretty high up in the ranks right out of the gate for a newcomer. What about you though? Where do you put this bad boy?
Yeah, I love it. It's an interesting drink. It's a nice mix. When someone asks for something, you can come with this drink and really hit them out of left field. You know, they definitely won't see it coming. It's not too sweet. I like that. It's not it's stiff. It's stiff as nails, but it's not too stiff, like in flavor. All right. So I mean, there's 2 ounces of booze in this, and I have a double over here. So that's 4 ounces of booze. That's no pussy drink right there. That is a definite hardcore, you know, drink. And that's it's a good one to start. I don't think I'd want these all night long. but a couple of these to start off with or to mix it up, perfect.
I agree, Bobby. I mean, and the other thing is I love the presentation. I mean, martini glass is kind of what we're rocking here today. They have these other type of glasses that are like halfway martini glasses, halfway like short, kind of like not long, but like short glasses. I want to get those. They almost look like little like glass goblets. You know what I mean? Like miniature. Anyways, but just so everybody knows, I really think you guys need to get out there and try one right now. And the proportions this is probably one of the easiest drinks that we've made here at the Stiff Truth as well, which is also kind of nice. It's not very strenuous.
It is pretty simple for the palate that it's bringing.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, if you're going to make one of these bad boys, get a shaker, get some ice. Please do. Now, me and Bob know from doing this for a little while now, we've got our training wheels off, so to speak, when it comes to making cocktails. Night and day, go get yourself some fresh citrus when it calls for citrus in your drink, because we got a half ounce of fresh lemon juice, a half ounce of fresh orange juice, just maybe a couple of teaspoons, not too much, of grenadine. Yeah, I mean, if you got a sweeter tooth, maybe you can throw a little bit more in there. If you don't like sweetness at all, maybe just do 1 teaspoon, and then 2 ounces of rye whiskey. Very important that you do rye, because rye has like a nice little sweet finish. And then shake that bad boy up in your shaker. strain it into a nice glass of your choosing. And then a big thing here is get yourself some premium cocktail cherries, throw 2 or 3 in there. And that's going to give it that extra little sweet kick that I think that it really marries well here. And there you have it. It's a Ward 8. The other nice thing about this cocktail, Bob, is it's been a long time since we had a cocktail with history. And this is a cocktail from the late 1800s, inspired by a political run in Massachusetts in, I think, like 1892 or 97. I can't remember. I could look it up real quick. But yeah, you're pretty interested, aren't you?
It's story time for drinks. I love story time for drinks.
No, it's pretty awesome. Like I was really excited to even see this. I was like, oh, imagine that. But here we go. Here's a little backdrop on this bad boy. Originating in 1898 in Boston, Massachusetts. In 1898, Democratic political czar Martin M. Lomency hoped to capture a seat in the state legislature, and they went ahead and created this drink for that individual, and he won. Oh, this is pretty cool. So literally, they created a drink for a politician. It went big, as the kids say today. It went viral, right? And here we go. Over 100 years later.
So it came from Boston. So at one point, it wasn't a Ward 8. It was a Wad 8.
Wad 8. Yeah.
Wad 8.
That's a good pull right there. But yes, absolutely. Fantastic cocktail. Now, it looks a little bit different in that picture there. I wonder if they're using more orange juice, less grenadine. Who knows? But anyways, great cocktail. Great cocktail. We got some great stuff to talk about today, Bob. I mean, what's on your mind first? There's a lot of different things here, and we're gonna do dealer's choice here with what you want to start with, my friend, because anywhere where we land, I think is going to be good.
Man, there's so much going on, and there really has been ever since we started season 4 of the Stiff Truth.
Hey, now watch out.
And it's been a little overwhelming, really, just getting back into doing the shows, because there's so much that's gone on in the last few months since we did our season finale of season 3, that it's been really kind of difficult to pin down, to prioritize the topics that we really need to talk about. And then as soon as we have it,
another bomb drops. You know what I mean?
Another like tragedy happens, like the train, another train derails, and then now we've got the second largest banking institution going belly up in the history of the country. And now I don't know if that's relative to the value of the dollar, or if it's because of the money that we're dealing with at this point of inflation in our country, or if it really is, it's like not even that close. I didn't bother to crosswalk that, but I mean, we've got Silicon Valley Bank has gone under, and they're taking $250 billion worth of assets with them.
Yeah.
So normally when something happens like this, someone's going to analyze this and someone's going to go to prison, because oddly enough, rich people get really upset when they're no longer rich.
Yeah.
Or when they take a large hit.
Yeah, that tends to piss them off. Yes. And I think, to put a fine point on that, I know you didn't want to crosswalk that. I think it is the largest banking failure since 2008. And I want to say, from watching a video, that actually Silicon Valley Bank is the 16th largest bank in the country, which, being that it's just a regional bank based out of California, is a pretty big deal, because it really the clientele here is pretty much everybody in Silicon Valley, startups to your Metas, right? Everybody's everybody had.
It's basically like the hub where all the VC, the venture capitalism, is running through for basically all of the tech companies.
Yeah, and I think the really big thing here that's interesting that we're going to kind of see play out is, don't get me wrong, this is Scott saying, I think the government's doing a pretty good job right now helping clean this up. There's a lot of uninsured depositors that are set to either have to wait a long time for their money, or just going to lose a lot of their money. And this is what we had said here. These are a lot of your startup companies. So pretty dicey situation, pretty crazy how literally this bank went from extremely well-to-do financially to complete garbage in less than 2 days. You know what I mean? I mean, Bob, I don't even think you could fuck something up in less than 2 days like that. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. Don't underestimate me.
I can try.
So yeah, that's pretty crazy that that's happening, and that really leads me to something that's not in our notes here. Here we go. Right.
Good.
But I have a real problem, and maybe this is like my inner Ron Swanson. Maybe this is just like how I politically view things, or democratically. My democratic expectations have morphed as I get older and more cynical. But
That makes sense.
I really despise the Fed having the power and imposing their will on our economy and the free market. And if we're due for inflation, inflation is from my perspective, and my opinion, inflation is a natural occurrence that happens to balance out the free market, right? So when things get a little bit out of control, inflation happens when the market is correcting itself, right? And then after market the inflation happens, everyone struggles, there's a recession or whatever, and then naturally and organically the country starts turning around, and then wages start increasing, and it's just like it's a normal thing. And it's kind of like the Back to the Future 2 poked a little fun at it when like the car was like fucking $39 billion or something like that.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but to some extent, I mean, inflation is designed to always go up. It will always go up because that's just the kind of nature of the beast. So when the Fed comes in and says, hey, our economy's doing really good, but inflation's going out of control, we're just going to create a large unemployment population, so that way people will stop buying houses and will like tank the economy and stop inflation. Yeah, you're stopping inflation, but you're also stopping the free market. And it's questionable whether the Fed has any constitutional authority to be doing this at all. And believe it or not, Scott, in the early 19 teens, there was another federal institution bank that was gotten rid of. Like, we've gotten rid of a Fed type institutional bank before, and then it was reinstated again. I don't remember who it was. I think it was under Eisenhower or something, but it came back. Maybe it was Roosevelt, but it came back, and it's been there ever since. And I want to get rid of it. I'm on the record. You've heard it here first. I think the country's better off without the Fed.
Yeah. No, I agree with you here. I was gonna say that it was for some odd reason, I thought like the refound strength of the Fed was tied to the us going away from the gold standard in the early 70s too, but maybe I'm
potentially
wrong.
Yeah, that could be it.
Seems like it would be not so ironic and not so unusual that would kind of make sense too. Is you go away from something that has intrinsic value to back up your currency to air, and then this institution just kind of pops its head back in and gains a lot of momentum.
Well, Scott, nothing can help the people of America, especially the ones that are struggling with inflation, like taking that 2-income household down to a 1-income household because one person just got laid off because of the Fed raising interest rate is now causing layoffs, which you've seen in mass now.
Yeah.
The unemployment numbers are going to keep going up, and I just, again, maybe it's my inner Ron Swanson, maybe it's my age, I don't know what it is, my cynicism, combination of everything kind of piling together. But I think that market manipulation like that shouldn't be occurring in a free market economy.
Would you like to hear the current functions, the purposes stated on Wikipedia of the Fed? I think this is interesting.
Yes. I think
current,
hold on.
Yes, current functions of the Federal Reserve System include to address the problem of banking panics. That's a big one, to serve as a central bank for the United States, to strike a balance between private interest of banks and the centralized responsibility of governments, to supervise and regulate banking institutions. Okay, I can kind of get behind that one a little bit. To protect the credit rights of consumers, to manage the nation's money supply through monetary policy to achieve the sometimes conflicting goals of maximum employment, stable prices, including prevention of either inflation or deflation, moderate long-term interest rates. That just sounds like a fancy way of saying to control the money and control the wealth in the United States. I'm just going to stop there because there's more, but I'm like, this kind of just sounds like window dressing here for we want to be in control and we want to control what creates and manages power, and that's money. Interesting.
Now, if the Fed became just simply like oversight
Yeah.
of banks and prevent what just happened in Silicon Valley Bank instance, I'm okay with federal, federal, I guess they're agencies that are appointed congressional powers, right? But I'm okay with that oversight, but I'm not okay with that oversight extending past wrongdoing and privatized institutions, sticking to the rules and into now, well, we're going to now artificially manipulate the market. I don't like that because
Yeah.
that's the whole thing about the market, Scott. You're a business person. The market it's a free market because it does work itself out and it balances itself, and that's we need to drive competition to help the market balance itself out, not just artificially do it, because where does that end? That's a slippery slope.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing, dude. It's interesting to me that everything, all the panic, all the changes in the stock market over the past couple of years, well, in history too, but everybody waits to see what the Fed's going to do with interest rates before they knee jerk their way into decisions that will manipulate and change the wealth of everybody in the United States within a fraction of a second, just based off of one fucking guy and what he says. And I don't know if it's like throwing darts at a dartboard here when they pick the interest rate hikes, because they can be kind of interesting sometimes. I'm sure they want us to perceive and believe that like they're back there like, wearing like one of those little like Las Vegas
the
visors.
Green hats. Yeah, the little green visor with a cigar and shit.
And he's all carry the one, hitting one of those old school calculators and stuff.
It's like Jim Carrey in The Mask.
Exactly.
Right? That scene.
Like you're like, I think we need to raise a quarter of a point. No, half a point. No, 3/4 of a point this time. Yeah, I don't know. But what is it? Last time I checked, I think they just raised it again, or they're going to be raising it really soon. But like prime interest rate right now is 7.75%.
It's ridiculous, dude.
Does that make sense?
It's ridiculous. Like you can't even buy a house anymore. That's the plan.
Yeah. Well, and fuck, if you were one of the millions upon millions of Americans that were struggling getting out of, getting yourself out from under credit card debt, well, tough shit, bro. Now your interest rates has got tenfold.
Imagine if you had bought a house a few years back on an adjustable mortgage. Holy fuck, shit. Dude.
I will tell you this. Very glad I refinanced in 2020. Because that was great. That was great.
No, not to toot our own horn, but we were money with our real estate decisions, with our financing for a house. It was just perfect timing. We got like the best interest rates ever. And the downside of that, Scott, is I'm kind of hamstringed by it. Like I can never sell my house. Like I just can't. No matter what, I'm just gonna keep it. So I'm just gonna trust it to the kids at this point. I can't sell it because the mortgage changing would be so fucking dramatic. And I would lose so much money that it in no way would ever make business sense. Even if I moved out of country, it'd be better to rent this thing out through some sort of company.
Well, Bob, I'm just going to say this. Cry me a river, first world problems. You don't have real problems like Mr. Mitch McConnell behind you there. I'll tell you what. This guy's not very steady. And you know what's interesting, in case everybody doesn't know, and calm down, everybody. He's okay. He's okay. He's recovering well, but old Mitchy here. Look at that fucking chin. My God. I want to like touch it like this, go blah, 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 blah. It's like gonna slap it or something. It's really disgusting, but hey, he's 81, he's in politics, and his skin is literally
falling off his bones like he's wearing a goddamn Edgar suit.
I was just gonna say that he looks like he's Vincent D'Onofrio in the first.
He's like, "Wow, you got any sugar water?"
And his wife's all, "Your skin's hanging on your face." It's like she's, I guess, "Is that better?" That's ridiculous. Good stuff. But again, getting back to it, Mitch McConnell, and this, timely that me and Bob on the last show just talked about that politicians are way too fucking old to be running the country. But old Mitchy boy here at the ripe age of 81 took a spill. And now this is something that almost everybody listening to the show, including Bob and I, we could probably take this spill, dust ourselves off, get back up, and move on with our day. Bob go back to his room to watch more gay porn. But business as usual.
That's what caused the spill.
It's like a banana, but it's just semen that's on the floor.
It's just this huge cycle. It's a never ending. It's a downward spiral, really, of gay porn madness.
Oh, Bob digresses. Okay. But to get back to Mitchy Baby here, did you read the article you sent me to? I think it's interesting that he's this is almost like it's almost like pointing out like drug addiction from way back, but it's about falling down. You know what I mean? It's like this is apparently not Mitch's first rodeo with falling down and hurting himself to where he needs medical attention, which again, I know he's 81, so this can happen, but Jesus Christ, Bob, what do you think about this? Is this just another case in point of like you need to go sit down in your lazy boy, put that bad boy up, watch Matlock, have a little soup, maybe some hot tea or something here? What are your thoughts, buddy?
Fucking A, dude.
Yeah.
Mitch, just kick on back, dude. Turn off Fox News and just throw in the Murder She Wrote marathon. You're going to be better off for it.
Oh, dude,
So,
I love Angela.
He's over
Bassett.
there trying to toss one off to Angela Lansbury. Down.
There it is. Yeah.
He's using like the slime under his neck skin to like lubricate. But dude, he's 81 years old and he's going to take falls. I mean, shit. Biden fell going up the stairs to his airplane. Yeah. Sorry, jet. Twice now in the last 2 weeks. I mean, and that's just, we all kind of kick a step on the way up and fall. And, for an 81-year-old, I guess he's probably more fit than most at that age. But still, again, going back to last week's show, why the fuck do we have people that could cause a special election at the next fucking bad fall? You know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't make sense. I think that getting rid of old people like this in politics is a form of risk management for the American people. And I think we need to mitigate this risk. I feel for him. He's old and he fell and he hurt himself. That's great. I mean, it happens. It happens to family members of mine. But do I need it happening to my senators? I don't. I mean, yeah, I fell down the stairs a few years back and like broke my tailbone and took a sick tumble, right? I didn't have to go to the hospital. And I also wasn't like managing legislation for a state.
Yeah, look, I mean, if our politicians are going to take a nasty spill, I need them to hit a tree skiing. You know what I mean?
Yes, that like make it solid. Like this guy was vibrant, and he had an accident like that crushed his face. That's why he's not going to be in our Senate no more.
If our senators are going to go out with falls, I need them going out Sonny Bono style. Okay. And I believe wasn't there a Kennedy that smacked himself into a tree too skiing and killed himself? It wasn't like John F. Kennedy Jr., but there's so many Kennedys that have died.
I thought that Robert Kennedy had an accident once.
Ready?
Maybe it was that. Oh, yeah. I'm already there.
It's just for you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm here with you.
Okay,
we're not sponsored by Michelob Ultra, nor do we have the technology to gray this out. So,
yeah, that's true. But that's okay.
Let's just full transparency.
I was thinking, again, reflecting back on old Mitchy Boy and our last show and something that I do for sport. I thought this would be an interesting way to kind of have criteria too. This is another, if you ask me, just a benchmark for age in politics. If you can't piss off shit stains on the back of your toilet because you don't have enough PSI, you can't be in politics anymore. You know what I mean? I think if it's going that direction and your stream is that weak, that means that you have to sit down too. Are you okay with that? Like if the prostate is super weak, or is there an exception for some pretty?
Well, I'm just gonna say that if you eat too many carbs, that shit could be pretty sticky. I mean, unless like everyone's rocking a solid, well-balanced diet, I would agree with you. But man, there's some instances where that shit is painted on there.
You're Bob, like, well, hold on, wait, is it any shit? Is it reserved for just like healthy logs? What about splattery diarrhea shits? I mean, that stuff can stain the walls. You know what I mean? Like, does that matter? I think we need to put a fine point here on what kind of shit we're talking about before we establish these kind of rules. I agree with you, Bob.
Because if I have like Pizza Hut the night before, you're not getting that paint off of my toilet. You better get a brush.
And if you do, you're going to have to be called in like right after the fact. You can't let this linger for like a couple of minutes and let it cement on the back of the toilet.
No, it's got to be done like right away. Like, and once it's on there, this has become now a work of art. Now it's going to take like specialists to come in with like magnifying glasses and special tools to like get this paint now and restore the bowl back to its pristine shape.
Oh, I'll tell you what, though. I mean,
That really went sideways fast.
it does. It's usually what happens here at the Stiff Truth. I'll tell you one thing. To take a quick little pivot here back to the drink. These little cherries are fantastic. Are they not? Did you?
Yeah. I had one of mine. There's a huge difference in a cocktail cherry and a maraschino cherry. They're huge difference.
Yeah. Well, and I saw this at Total when I was there. There is some fantastic maraschino cherry cocktails, cherries that are the premium ones, like $24 a bottle from Italy. But the ones like from the grocery store, from Walmart, huge difference. Huge difference.
Oh yeah, if you get it in the ice cream section, get the fuck out of here. That's not gonna work. That's what you get out for your kid when they come by and they see you with your cocktail cherries and they ask for one. You have the cheap ice cream maraschino cherries next to it, so they don't know. They don't know that they're getting the sick shaft and that they're not eating like $1 cherry.
Yeah, honestly,
like a 5-cent cherry.
And to let the Stiffy knows what's going on here, I went to, and this is my commitment to the show, Bob. Is it not? I think this is a great example of how committed I am to just quality show and just quality all around when it comes to the Stiff Truth, my friend. I went to Total Wine today and I spent $17.99 on a little jar of premium cocktail cherries for the show, just because the Ward 8 calls for at least having 2 or 3 of those in there. And I wasn't gonna just do away with the very important garnish in today's cocktail. And I do it all for you, Bob, and I do it for everybody listening to the show.
God damn it, Scott. That kind of commitment is what keeps this show going.
And you're all, and that's about it. And it's hanging by a thin string at that. Oh man. Well, I mean, we all hope and pray, and I know all the Stiffies out there really hope and pray that Mitch is going to be okay, and so is his many chins that he has. Let's move along to let's just move along to somebody else that took something on the chin not too long ago here. I think he almost waited till like a year until his special came out, but I don't know if anybody's seen. I'll be honest here, I have not watched the entire new Chris Rock special that's on Netflix. I hear it's fantastic, but I did catch I think it's like the last 5 minutes or so, give or take, where he brings up and finally, let's just say, gets back at Mr. Will Smith, because it was last year at the Oscars, right? When this happened.
Man, I don't even know if it's getting back at him. He just like spit some truth fire. Right. And this is just something that we all can see. Everyone with a brain who's paid any attention at all to like what's gone on in Will Smith's life for the last few years, like knows exactly that is all facts. I mean, it's not like he was, providing wild conjecture and speculation. He was we're drawing a line from A to B. This is a pretty straightforward line. And I think that the things that he had to say were spot on. And I don't think that there's any combating it. And I think that Will could have came out right after the slap and said all this. Listen, I've been dealing with some like shit, and really he was just the ire of my anger and focus, and I got enraged, and everything that's happened with my family and my wife for the last few years has really just pulled over, and I was an asshole and I acted inappropriate, and he didn't do any of that. He didn't have accountability in that moment. You know what I mean?
And I think we could just say this, and you're right. I want to kind of like change my language there a little bit. This is long-awaited feedback, right?
Yeah.
It's long-awaited feedback from the man it happened to, right? From
what restraint, right? To like formulate his response this whole time.
And what a stand-up guy. I just got to say that. I think we all knew that Chris Rock was a cool stand-up guy here, but I think one of the things that he pointed out, which I thought was just brilliant, he's like, why didn't I fight back? And then he made jokes about like, I'm like half the size of Will Smith. He's going to kick my ass. But honestly, because I have parents, because I was raised, you know what I mean? Like why he didn't like retaliate or basically stoop to the level
or
that
because he's a grown up.
Yeah.
With emotional maturity.
Now, not to be confused with the 3 movies that he made with Adam Sandler. But yes. No, I thought that was interesting. And he really did put him in his place, rightfully so. And like you're saying, I don't think rightfully being objective that Will Smith could watch that and say, yeah, that's just not the case. He's got it all wrong. I think that he just had to take that because he kind of points out very plainly, like you said, everybody could see that this was a bitch made move by somebody acting like a bitch, maybe not a bitch of a person all the time, but in a bitch place. And he did a bitch thing and he's acting like a complete fucking pussy. And this is what happens when people like this do things to people that are half the size of him. It makes sense that he didn't pick the guy bigger than him to slap in the face too, because he's bitch made, right? And like that, some of that's like verbatim from what he said in his show or whatever.
Yeah.
That he's like punk bitch
Like
move.
what if The Rock would have made that joke?
Yeah,
Right? Like
honestly.
6'5", fucking 320 or whatever The Rock is.
And honestly, I want to say, because I think The Rock is more like an Arnold type in his physique. Like I don't think he's like that tall, but I think he's huge, right? So my point is I think him and Will Smith eye to eye, probably not that different. You know what I mean? Might be maybe like an inch or two or something like that. But I think The Rock outweighs him by a good solid 100 pounds or something like that. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he would take the same cavalier attitude with slapping somebody like that across the face as he did with a guy that was basically like half of him when it comes to mass. It was good though. I thought it was good. It was nice to hear. It was nice to hear somebody with class stab back in a funny, truthful way. And here it is, bro. He deserved it. Meaning Will Smith. So there it is. Now here's what I'd like to see. At this point, water under the bridge between those two. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I
of
think it
course.
should be. I think it should be business as usual. Obviously, if they want to be spiteful and pull blows furthermore or whatever, I get it if that's what they want to do. But ideally, I'd like to see things like, hey, you took your stab, slap, whatever I mean, you slap back, verbally, rightfully so, to kind of just retaliate verbally. And here we are. Let's move on with our lives. And I think that's what Chris Rock is doing. And we'll see what Will Smith does. I bet you Will Smith never says anything else about it. Even when he's asked, he might even end interviews if people bring it up at this point. That's just what I think. What do you
So
think?
just because I was curious,
I knew you were looking. You're looking for the
I
height of Will Smith and looking for the height of The Rock.
so you're right. They're not that different. The Rock is 6'5", 260,
Mm-hmm.
which is a solid fucking muscle. That's
And
crazy.
Will Smith is 6'3", right?
He's 6'2", 220. Not a whole
Oh,
lot of difference there. So
but not much. Yeah.
no, especially like in suits and stuff on the stage, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But Chris Rock, I mean, again, he's not near that stature. But I mean, regardless of that, it doesn't matter the stature.
No,
Man,
it's
we talked about this on the show before, but that whole instance was in a professional award ceremony for an industry. All the
Mhm.
who's who, your bosses, all the workers, the employees, like everyone in that industry is all there for all their accolades and to honor each other. And it's a work function by all accounts. It is a work function. And he went and acted like he was at a house party and he just found out someone was talking shit about his bitch. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
and he's 16, not even 18, 16, mind you.
yeah,
Still, yeah.
it was so ghetto and immature, and then how he handled it after, still immature. He still hasn't addressed it as from an accountability standpoint. He apologized and he did his thing, but did he really own it? And I mean, it's out there, dude. Like your wife not only fucked your young son's like friend for like 2 years and had
Eek.
an entanglement that you knew about, but then she like made you go on her talk show to talk about it in front of everyone. And
Not
Will
cool.
Smith is like just sitting there taking all this, similar to
You in prison?
no, similar to
Come on, Bob. That was good. You
similar to
like
the Breaking Down.
Hey, if yeah, I know some of these people out there listening to the show aren't on YouTube or whatever, but when I said like you in prison, when he's like just taking it and taking it, a very just genuine smile crept across Bob's face, and he kind of drifted off for a minute as it seems like he thought about good old times, and then just came back. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So
Girl, how do I get back into
so
it after that?
Chris Rock though,
Mhm.
and it's funny because when you hear them speak, you would think it would be the opposite. that Chris Rock, from his stand-up and the things that he says and his outbursts, that he would be the immature one. He's the dick and fart joke guy, all of this. And Will
My
Smith is
people,
always
baby.
trying to be very measured with his approach and his answers to everything. But then when it comes down to like actually real life situations, Chris Rock is like a dad, a person in the position of power, a thoughtful, a servant leader type of person, where Will Smith is a very egocentric type of person where everything revolves around him and he handles it all according to his emotions and everything. Well, Chris Rock handles it with thoughtful expectations that is on his approach, and everyone's going to be watching, and he was so measured and reserved with his response to all of this. That's very, very admirable for me as someone that's approaching his age in life to really look up to, and as a role model. Like, man, when shit goes down, you want to handle that shit like Chris fucking Rock.
That's an interesting thing, and I wonder if that's just an individual thing, like person to person, or is there a little bit about this like self-absorbed, everything's about me thing when it comes to big actors too, versus somebody like Chris Rock. Like, let's face it, he's been in movies, but he's not really like a true actor in the sense. And I'm not downgrading him. I'm just saying his craft is stand-up comedy, being funny, doing like sketch comedy, doing some movies and everything like that. But I think he doesn't even try to say, I want to be the center of attention. I want to win an Academy Award for Best Actor, stuff like that. Whereas the kind of intense, passionate, dramatic kind of self-absorbed attitude is more a prototype, right, of like the actor, so to speak. So I wonder if there's anything there, or if it's literally just, look, this is him as a person, he's a higher class person, that's the end of the story. So I could be looking into it a little bit more than I should, but I think there could be something there, Bob. You know what I mean?
I think there's a lot to analyze here. When it comes to examples that you're trying to show your children about, especially when they're like my son's in high school, and I'm always trying to give him examples about how high school is like fake. Like, it's just like this temporary time where everyone has no fucking clue what they're doing and they're trying to pretend they do. And it's just, everything about high school is fucking fake.
It's fake, but it seems so real though at the time, right?
Indefinite.
Like, right.
Like, and permanent, like, when you're in high school.
It's never going to go away. Yeah.
Right.
That's the thing,
everything
that they can't
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm always trying to find examples. Like, I'll tell my son, hey, the bullies and popular kids in high school getting by in their looks, many of them are peaking right now, and they will have shit lives. Not all of them, obviously, but many of them are. And the popular kids are going to end up like sucking ass in life here in a couple of years. Where all these nerd kids that are getting bullied and taking their lumps now, they're going to end up the success stories in life, and it's going to be kind of a switch.
They could be successful serial killers or mass shooters as well. Those kids that are made fun of a lot. Watch out. Hey, by the way, PSA, be nice to the weird kid in class. That's all I'm saying. You don't want to be on his list, in his little book that he has, or that list he has in marker on his wall. You don't want to be on the manifesto.
That should be a pen. Don't make it the manifesto. Right. So, and then that's kind of and I'm always thinking of examples and real life examples to teach kids, especially my son. But just because, like, it's hard for you to think with the object permanence of being a teen about real life later. But like this Chris Rock, Will Smith situation, that's something that even a high schooler especially can latch onto, because they could like see that happening because it was fucking childish, right? So they could see that happening from their peers and their friends, but then you can see how grown-ups actually handle that situation from Chris Rock's perspective and how it should be handled. And I think there's so much from this situation that can be analyzed and observed and learned from. And, and the bottom line is, I wouldn't say that Will Smith's an asshole, even though he probably is. But I would say that he's let his life kind of sneak up on him and grab him by the boo-boo and control him. And outside of his professional career, like his personal life, it seems like it's gotten away from him, and he boiled over and snapped at the loss of control at that moment.
I'll add to that and say he's let his ambitions catch up with him. You know what I mean? Just a little bit more specifically. It's the life that he's chasing after, right? And the life that, let's face it, with what you had outlined too about what's been going on with his marriage over the past how many years or whatever. It's not like quite cracked up to, what he thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? And I think that's got him ultra frustrated. So again, yeah, and again, I don't want to talk any shit about the man as a person outside of this incident, because I have no idea, nor do I really care. In fact,
yeah, there's that.
what I'm going to appreciate from Will Smith is probably watching reruns of Fresh Prince from back in the day,
or Bel Air. That is his show. I love
or
that
Bel
show.
Air. And I honestly am not a really big Will Smith movie fan. I'm not. I like his funny kind of like, hey, I'm the comedy blockbuster guy from the late 90s. I thought like Independence Day and Men in Black and some of those are pretty good. I'm not really into his biopics that much. I mean, they're not bad, but I haven't even seen like the Ali one. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out
Scott,
there. I haven't seen
tell you,
Emancipation. So
Will Smith as Deadshot is fucking money. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Man, Suicide Squad may be kind of trash, but man, Margot Robbie and Will Smith, money.
I did see that movie though. I did see that. So I mean, and I'm fine with that. But again, if for somebody that does biopics in a similar fashion that I think is ultra more talented, it's Jamie Foxx. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. You know what I mean?
Well, Jamie Foxx, Oscar carrier. I mean, there's a huge gap between Jamie Foxx and Will Smith, as we talked about. He's still trying to get that Oscar, but I mean, Jamie Foxx has his Oscar, and he's super talented. Plus, I love Jamie Foxx. We grew up 20 miles away from each other, so love Jamie Foxx. He understands where I'm from like no other.
Could we say he's a great friend of the show? Then I think
we can say whatever we want. It's our fucking show.
Yeah,
but I would say in the spirit of Team Edward or Team Jacob, I'm going to be that the stiff truth is firmly behind Team Rock here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. I'll tell you what else, Bob. I want to talk about somebody else that I have some respect for now, maybe a little bit more than before. I think you as well. We talked about it earlier here. But boy, I'll tell you what. You're not going to see any of what we're about to talk about here on Fox News, my friend, because it's about Fox News. And very recently here, it looks like people know about this. I'll give it a little backdrop, right, Bob? And maybe you want to explain this because you know the story a little bit stronger than me.
So we all know that Trump lost the election and started blaming.
Whoa. Okay, not my president, bro.
We all should know that Trump lost the election and then started spouting fucking election fraud lies so much that the DOJ, and at the time the Trump appointed attorney general and the DOJ starts looking into it, and he's even given interviews about it, Barr, right, about he said there's election fraud and he said he had proof, so I looked into it. Barr found no evidence, not of widespread election fraud, just like normal marginal election fraud that happens in every
election. Or election fraud. There's always fraud, but you can't control everything.
It's about someone goes to vote somewhere and then votes for their mother across town because she's in a wheelchair or something, or someone goes and votes and then tries to vote somewhere else because they had another address. There's just these little election fraud things that kind of happen, but
I vote for my grandfather, my grandmother, my great grandmother, who are all dead. But anyways, you're
right. And honestly, that happens, and it's tried every time. Yeah. But the amount that it happens is so marginal that it never has any bearing on anything, and so it's just normal. We found you were election fraud. We're gonna put you on probation or whatever. Some people have to actually do a little bit of time, but regardless of that, nothing was found outside of the normal marginal election fraud that happens in every election. So moving on, Fox starts going with the narrative that it was the voting machines.
Dominion comes in. Here we come, baby.
Here comes this company, Dominion. They make voting machines. They make, voting machines are simple as fuck. It's basically an abacus.
Can I say something real quick though, Bob?
Yeah.
Dominion, for just making voting machines, sounds much more ominous than just making voting machines.
Right?
It sounds very scary. I don't like the company name. I think we need to go with a rebrand here. But anyways, go ahead.
So basically, let's just observe what a voting machine is, right? We all took tests growing up, and this is something that Gen Xers, millennials, Gen Zers, we've all filled out the fucking bubbles with a number 2 pencil, right? Those old school machines that would just go out and check your answers, That is essentially a voting machine these days. Nothing has changed in like 40 fucking years for this technology. So there's not much to it. It reads bubbles, it spits out the answers, yada, yada, yada. It's very simple. But Fox is saying, well, Dominion had this complicated voting machine that tabulated in this grand scheme that, like, had this voting numbers, so they knew how many they had to overturn, and they overturned. So just like ridiculous accusations, right?
So can I say this? So basically, the machines, if they had a caricature in an image, they were wearing the little green Vegas hats, the little accountant hats. So like, hey, carry the one down. Trump's fucked.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that is basically the position that Fox was trying to display to their audience.
Cute little robot accountants. That's actually pretty neat. It should have been on Wall-E, is all I'm saying. But go ahead.
So enter tort law.
Hi, I'm Tort Law. I'm here for the gangbang.
Tort law, for those that don't know, is just a fancy word of saying state laws, right? so tort law comes in, and this Dominion company is like, wait a minute, we're going to sue Fox News for damages because we think we have standing because they were like disparaging our name. Now when we go to try to sell voting machines, no one wants anything to do with us. We want $1.5 billion. And then the courts are basically like, cool, Fox News, prove that they were like doing what you claim that they were doing so that you're not like liable for this. And then so everyone gets subpoenaed. All the phone records get subpoenaed, the emails get subpoenaed, everything, because there's a thing called discovery. So then everything tries to come out. Interesting thing starts coming out when they start going over the text messages is none of the shows host like the main big three, right?
Let's just let's bring them into the table here. We've got Laura Ingraham, we've got Hannity, and our boy, good friend of the show, Mr. Tucker Carlson.
Those are the three.
That's right. Right there.
And basically they start getting their text, pulled and they've been released. And the interesting thing is the views that were on the show to the audience were nothing like the texts that were going on between each other. So a lot of these, especially Tucky Baby, Tucker and his bow tie can't stand Trump, which there was some signs of that because Trump was on Hannity like all the time, right? He was on Fox and Friends all the time. He wasn't on Ingram and Carlson as much. But he was on. He almost had a nightly standing on Hannity. Like it was kind of crazy.
Dude,
their relationship.
It was kind of sad sometimes when Hannity would be like on his show and he would pull up like phone conversations with him and Trump, or it would bring him on the air like right then to have like a personal chummy phone conversation. It was kind of sickening. You know what I mean? I was like, this is not the way it should be. We talked about that the other day too. I'm like, you should not
please elaborate.
Friends.
Tell the audience what we talked about.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I think one of the, especially when we talk about political journalists, you know what I mean? They shouldn't be in bed or chummy with politicians, especially high-ranking politicians like the president of the United States. You should have a healthy, combative relationship,
adversarial,
combative adversarial relationship. You should always be trying to call their bullshit, even if bullshit isn't there, because that's your job, is to make sure that not only people understand what's going on, but that you make sure what's going on from people that could potentially manipulate. You got to make sure you vet that shit and you double, triple check shit. So it is interesting because that really like negates everything that a political analyst should be. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, when I was having dinner the other night with Donald Trump, you're like, well, what are you doing? And you're telling us like what's going on in the country, and you're basically a representative of Donald Trump. How can we buy anything you're saying? How is this not extremely biased, calculatedly biased? You know what I mean? So no go with me, buddy. But anyways, I just wanted to say that about Hannity because I think he's a piece of shit. Can we say that? I think we can say that. And I just said it. Can I say it one more time? Here, you're going to like this too because we haven't busted one out yet. He's a fucking retarded piece of shit.
Oh, I love that. That's a good one. That's our first, R bomb. I would.
You tried not to say it.
Well, then I would have to up the count. So...
Hey, Bob, remember, if you're feeling it, bro, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with upping the count if you want to up the count. But I don't want to I don't want to push. You know what I mean? I don't want to like.
Well, and I want to be the first to like start a new thing.
Okay.
Um, I'm old school. I'm from the 80s. I'm from a time when it was okay when something was whack and it wasn't like up to par or something that you're gonna make fun of. You called it gay.
Oh, here we
And
go. Bring
and
it in,
and
baby.
I want to start a new trend because I love my gays. And it has nothing to do with the gays, but it's just like a habit, a word that
Hmm.
I say, and I want to switch the word. So I
Okay.
want to start a new thing. I want to start calling things that are
Ridiculous.
less than ideal. I want to
Yeah.
start calling them straight. So
I
that I'm
like
no longer
this.
marginalizing them. I'm actually pushing forward the majority, and then let's let people talk shit about that.
Sure.
So if I go and I say, you know what, that is, man, that's pretty straight, dude. Like,
Sounds good, doesn't it? But
right.
with that face you made, I know that that means that's subpar. Something's missing. Something's
Like,
not
are
right.
you gonna play COD tonight, Dave? Or are you gonna be straight? Sorry, not I don't hate to call you out, Dave, but I'm gonna. So
Yeah, yeah. I like that.
so I just want to first point that out. So I want to the first example of this that I want to use for a TST exclusive is that Sean Hannity is awfully straight.
I
In
would
my book, he's always been straight, but the more that things come out, man, that dude, he
I
is
would
like he's
I,
super straight.
I would say he's overwhelmingly straight. You know what I mean? Which is kind of just how straight guys do it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's probably found himself in a den of other straight men. You know what I mean? Just having a good old time, just doing a bunch of straight things. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
of course. I
I
mean, whoa, why did I just get signed out of my notes? I don't like that. That's
Oh
straight.
no, that is so straight, dude. You know what?
Anyway,
Zoom's been really straight lately. You know what I mean? So
oh, it wasn't
don't.
Zoom. It was Google Drive. It was
Oh
our
no,
shared notes.
that's right. Well, I can
So
tell you. I can tell you what's on
I
there.
want to go over some of the text that came out.
Okay, please do.
And nothing really major. It was just like some of the text that came out. Tucker Carlson, and I want to like find the actual text, so I don't want to misquote this because he says it himself best. Why misquote something that's already been written?
Hmm.
So there's a few quotes that Tucker was making to one of his executive producers. There's been text that he sent to colleagues and co-hosts on Fox News with Ann Coulter and Sean Hannity and executive producers. Pretty much is where most of these texts come from. But one of these are, quote, "We are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights." So he was excited about this, and as you can tell, he rarely had Trump on the show because kind of a tool. And I
Yeah,
get it. Trump's awfully straight. Um,
awfully straight.
but another one says, "quote, I want nothing more. It does feel very close." He wrote back, I hate him passionately. I
Oh
can't
boy,
I can't handle much more of this. So
tell us
so
how you really feel, buddy.
just to get it out there, like it is comforting to know that the Tucker Carlson that is on the news is 100% persona,
Hmm.
and he is an actual person when the cameras are off, and that's comforting to me. I
Yeah.
don't know why. I mean, how does that make you feel?
It's interesting. I feel better about it knowing that than actually thinking the persona he portrays on his show is 100% reality of how he is, because it seems to be a little bit of pandering to his his audience, which is okay. We talked about this the other day too. Look, hey man, you're going to give me millions of dollars. You're going to make me like the number one primetime news opinion piece show in the country. I'm probably going to pander to my audience too. Yeah, I'm probably
I
going to want
would.
to keep that. I want to keep that gravy train flowing, bro. I'll tell you what, that is a super gay setup, if you ask me, and I wouldn't want to lose that gay setup. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No,
oh my
no. We love sweet gay setups.
sound bite. But yeah, so I get it. It is rather manipulative. You know what I mean? Which it makes sense for somebody in his shoes and what he does too, but it is what it is. But
Well,
no, I'm okay with it. And like I said when I was kind of churching this up a little bit here, a little bit more respect for the guy, knowing that he is a hardcore conservative, which me as a libertarian, I'm still more right than I am left at the end of the day. But to understand that he is aware of what's going on with Trump. Because honestly, bro, there's some people out there. We talked about it before time and time again, but what's happening with Trump right now? And I'm not going to get too far into it. He could literally be charged with felony or misdemeanor crimes. It's not going to affect his chances or likelihood at all of losing the votes that he's already secured with his base, because
which is incredible.
they will blindly follow him off a cliff, bro, which is so interesting to me. The guy can do no wrong, but yet some self-aware, logical, reasonable people that are also conservatively, fiscally, and maybe religiously a little too much, and that's where I don't agree with Tucker Carlson, but still can be grounded and say, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? This is the guy representing our country. Give me a break. You know what I mean? And it is refreshing to hear that he said that.
Well,
In other words,
I completely agree. It would have been really concerning for me if the text came out and Tucker Carlson was like, "Oh yeah, we got to get down to this election fraud and fucking Trump got robbed and all." Like he actually believed all of that stuff. It'd be really disconcerting, and with him in his position of influence and power that he actually holds over the millions of people that watch the show. And by the way, his super awesome contract is about 10 million a year. So yeah, I would pander to the audience too. So that makes perfect sense for me from a business standpoint, because I would like $10 million a year. So Fox, if you want someone to be a pundit for you for $10 million a year, I will say whatever the fuck you want me to say. And I will love it. And I won't even text people this shit. I'll tote the company line in my texts. Anyway, but he also said,
always looking out for yourself, Bob. I like that. Just plugging yourself. Get out there, buddy.
He said, quote, "The last 4 years, we're all pretending we've got a lot to show for it, because admitting what a disaster it's been is too tough to digest. But come on, there isn't really an upside to Trump." End quote.
There you go. And there you go. Now, with this being said, here, and I need to go ahead and highlight this. We're doing a decent amount of Trump bashing right now. Rightfully so.
We're not. We're just reporting on what Tucker Carlson said.
Right. But we've given our opinion on such things. And I just want to come out and say this for any new listeners here. I'm not a big fan of Biden at all. I didn't vote for Biden. I'm not going to vote for Biden again. And I really don't like either party. I think they're two sides of the same coin. You know what I mean? And the grand scheme of things. But again, this embarrassing episode that we had to endure for a while, this bad show, this straight show that's been going on,
super straight show,
not very gay at all, show that's been happening since 2016 needs to fucking end. We need to stick a fork in this shit. And I think he's got it right. So I will say this though, I don't think we're gonna have any time for our last topic, and I'm okay with that, but I do still want to talk about something else, if you don't mind here. And that's that Sunny D now has a vodka seltzer. Can you imagine the commercials in the 90s, but now revamped for us in our 40s? The Sunny D commercials, like, dude,
hold on, what do you got in here?
Exactly. It's like, dude, I've been pounding straight bourbon, dude, for like hours now. I've had beers. I don't, dude, is there anything else to drink? It's like, I don't know, bro. We've got we got, what are they called? We've got some Trulies in here. Yeah, he's like, we got Trulies in here. We've got boxed wine. We got purple stuff. Like, wait a minute, are those Sunny D vodka seltzers? Like, dude, let's go. And then all of a sudden, like, all your friends jump out, like, oh, like, yay, he's got Sunny D vodka seltzers. But honestly, Bob, is this okay with you, or is it getting too close to adolescent or even childhood marketing here? What do you think? Because that's where I saw this and I was like, I don't really necessarily think it's a bad thing, but I could see how it could be confusing for the child. You know what I mean?
So a couple of things.
Okay. Oh,
first off, I fucking love Sunny D.
Oh,
I love it. I can't ever drink it because it's just so sugary. I can't have it at my age. But
you don't want to get the beatus, you know what I mean? So that makes sense.
I just want you to know that it's 95 calories and 0 sugar. So
I might be trying some out.
I'm gonna try to keep some, and it's gonna be on sale at Walmart.
Wow. Okay.
So it's gonna be so easy to get. I'm definitely gonna probably, well, definitely, probably, maybe. I'm gonna get some and I'm gonna keep it in the fridge. It's gonna be it'll be there. It'll always be there. So when you come by, I can give you the line when you're like, "What do you got to drink in there?" I'm gonna do it.
Purple
I'm gonna do
stuff.
it. I'm gonna fucking do it, dude. There'll probably be a TikTok coming as soon as the Sunny D gets in my fridge. So look forward to that, Stiffies. And just to kind of bounce back,
You good with it?
yeah, if there for you new listeners out there, yeah, we're not here to bash on Trump every show. That's not what we're about. In fact, go ahead, rewind it back. Watch last week's show where I staunchly say I will not vote for Biden if he's running again. Um, so
Now, to put a fine point, that he said he's not going to vote for Biden or Trump because he thinks old people are very straight.
although old and dangerous behind the wheel, although slow and dangerous behind the wheel, they can still serve a purpose, just not in office.
But it's not running our country. It's being the greeter at Home Depot. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, if you want to like annoyingly accuse me of passive aggressively accuse me of stealing from Walmart when I leave and check my receipt, that's where you should be.
sounds like you have
So
some experience with that, Bob. I think that comes from a personal just experience there. That was a little too
a
specific,
little
my
too
friend.
specific about, oh look, you're wanting to check my receipt, like so kind of passive aggressively accusing me of stealing. That's cool.
Yeah.
Um
Well, I mean, let's just face it. You do have a rather straight look to you when you're leaving the store. So maybe that's what happened. You're like, I better check this straight guy, make sure everything's on the up and up
Well, to
because
be fair, I usually look like a smacked ass when I go to Walmart. I have like running shoes on with like weird superhero socks and like gym shorts and like a white t-shirt. So I do look like I probably stole something. I mean, the only thing I'm missing is like a hoodie and shorts all weird, like so that I can fit my stolen goods in there. But yeah, okay. You got me. There's a little bit of animosity there,
that's okay.
personally.
I get it. I get it. But
So
they gotta feel important. So let them do their job, Bob. That's
are
all I
you
gotta say.
saying we're not going to get to Megan Hall?
I mean, everybody else has Bob, so I feel pretty left out.
I
But
feel like the only one that hasn't gotten to Megan Hall.
is you and I, and which and that's not fair. But I mean, yes, I mean, if people are watching on the YouTube show, I've got uh, you know, six illustrious, mugshots here. Not really even mugshots. I would say company headshots of some great police officers in Tennessee with Megan Hall there. I think everybody knows. I think there's just recent things that have come out that basically, again, text messages have been made public, which I think is great here. And I believe the chief of police, who's also lost his job recently, was a little bit jaded and a little bit, let's just say, pee hurt. Let's use something from New Mexico. That he didn't also get in on that, as they dubbed it, quote unquote, that tight little ass of Megan Hall. But it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Funny that he wasn't upset about losing his job, but not hitting that.
I don't know. She's married, which I think is interesting. I'm really wondering how like the conversation at the dinner table's been going since this has happened. Like how awkward it is. Are they still married? Are they separated? Or do they have kids? I just don't know. This sounds like a really messy situation, Bob. But
I mean, does he turn this into a business venture? Like, if you're going to be fucking half your colleagues, can we record it and put it on OnlyFans? Like, can we at least get monetary gain from this?
Yeah, I mean, we are a small police force and bumfuck Tennessee. We need some more revenue, so let's make this work for us. But I don't know. But yeah, we're pretty much out of time, Bob. I mean, we could talk about it more if you want on our next show, but I think that's about it. I'm going to say this. I'm going to go back real quick to the Sunny D vodka seltzers here. They have Mountain Dew, spiked Mountain Dew. They also have spiked Simply Lemonade, which is pretty cool. I think the next thing that has to come, and I'm going to be the first in line and get it, is spiked Capri Sun. That's what's up. In the same pouches and bigger pouches. You know what I mean? I think
you can do those with your vacuum sealer, by the way. You just cut the top off, throw some vodka in there, and then vacuum seal the top again.
Bob, I do a lot of straight things with my vacuum sealer. I'm just going to say that right now.
So
come on.
So that's a good one. We'll have to look forward to that. We're gonna have them on the show as soon as we're able to buy them.
Yeah,
They won't be very stiff, so maybe we'll like take shots with them or something. But
Sure. I mean, we'll do something to make sure that our alcoholic brains are working properly while we're talking.
well, this has been a great show. Once again, we go over the topics in our pre-show meetings because we do work. But we thought, is this enough topics to cover the show? And once again, we found ourselves pressed against it. Sorry, it's my fault. I think I digressed us early on and took us away and really, 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 straightened up the timeline.
Yeah, you see, and I have a hard time here because when you just said, when we had ourselves pressed against it, I was going to make another straight joke. You know what I mean? Because I was just like pressed against it. Yeah, it makes it Bob pressed against it. I got to make it a joke, and I gotta get out of that mindset. You know what I mean? What I need to do, Bob, is we need to go ahead and tell everybody good day, enjoy the rest of their Sunday. Probably go make myself another Ward 8. That's what I'm seeing in my future right now. And Stiffies, I suggest you do likewise. That's all I'm saying.
Ward 8s all day. Thanks everyone for joining us.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.